My daughter's turning 2, which is crazy because she was 2 pounds when she was born. Get ready with me while I tell you guys all about it. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new here. My name's Brittany. I post makeup related content every single week, along with numerous shorts throughout the week, and they range from tutorials, transitions, get ready with me's, all the way to my face card Fridays, which are where I create full glam looks based off of foods and drinks that you guys suggest. If you haven't checked those out, I highly recommend it. They are so much fun. Today's video is going to be a little heavy of a topic, but the outcome is obviously great. My daughter is 2 years old now and she is thriving. I would like to preface this by saying that if you are pregnant or if you are someone who gets terrified and paranoid about other people's birth stories, especially when they aren't, ideal ones, maybe don't watch this video because my birth was definitely not even remotely ideal. And it's absolutely crazy to me that it happened 2 years ago because it feels like it happened last month. Part of the reason I'm sharing this video is because I don't know anyone else who has gone through HELLP syndrome. I know a couple people who had minor preeclampsia, but I do not know a single person who went into HELLP syndrome. So I hope that this video can help someone else know that they are not alone in having HELLP syndrome and they are not crazy. It's very rare. Overall, I really hope that our story can really help people understand that they need to trust their gut and they need to stick up for themselves. And honestly, doctors are not always right. They do get things wrong, and sometimes it does cost a life. In our situation, we both got super lucky and we are both still here and well. So to celebrate her turning 2, let's get into her birth story. Little did I know I was going to be one of those scary stories one day. My pregnancy started out super normal. The only thing that was a little bit concerning was that I was losing weight instead of gaining weight. And this carried on past my first trimester, which it usually doesn't. So the doctors were a little bit concerned about that, but not enough to actually do anything about it, except for tell me that I need to gain weight. But again, like I said, it was a healthy pregnancy up until week 29. Once week 29 hit, I woke up in the middle of the night with excruciating pain in my upper right side of my stomach. And I have a really high pain tolerance, so I didn't think anything was wrong, but at the same time, it wasn't right either. But I wrote it off as bad gas or indigestion or something like that, because it only lasted a couple of hours and I could position myself in a way to make it hurt less so that then I could fall back asleep. So this all started on a Wednesday night and it would go away and come back on and off throughout the night. So obviously I did not get good sleep, and luckily I had FMLA, so I did stay home from work the next 2 days. Thursday came around and I ended up getting a little bit of sleep, so I did feel better throughout the day, but as soon as night hit, it all restarted again. And of course, it was always super late at night, so Brogan would already be asleep. I would wake up in excruciating pain, try to get comfortable, and it would last for a couple hours and then go away for about an hour or two and then come back. So I stayed home that Friday too, and then decided maybe I should call the doctor. So I did. When you do that, they have a triage nurse that you can talk to. So I did talk to the nurse. I had an appointment scheduled for the following Monday. And so they told me that it sounded like it was just her growing. If it gets worse, to go to the hospital just to be safe, or just wait until my appointment Monday and then talk to the doctor then. Over the weekend, not much changed, so I did not go to the hospital because it didn't get worse, but it definitely wasn't getting better either. And by the time Monday rolled around, I was not only rolling around in pain, being woken up by this pain, but it was hurting so bad that I would throw up. So I stayed home Monday as well. And once Monday did come around, I made Brogan come to the doctor with me because I was a little scared. And at the time of the appointment, it wasn't hurting, of course. So when I told the doctor about it, he literally shrugged. He goes, I don't think I have anything for that, and let me go home. Mind you, my blood pressure was high. They took it a few times and it was still high. It's high enough to be a little bit concerning, but we'll check it again next time. So I went home. And at the time, Brogan was in a bowling league, so they would bowl on Monday nights from like 8 p.m. and he wouldn't get home until almost midnight. So he went to bowling and he had one beer, just one. When he got home, I was in so much pain. I could not eat, I could not drink, I could not sleep, I could barely move. And when he got home, I was leaning over the toilet in so much pain because it hurt so bad. He wanted to take me to the hospital, but I said, no, it's fine. I said, the doctor thinks it's just her growing. I'm fine. I will just wait it out. It's fine. Apparently, I'm just a wimp. Mind you, I tore my shoulder in high school and continued to cheer on it for over a year. I have a high pain tolerance. And the pain went away temporarily again, but then it came back sooner than it had been in the past. And the reason I bring up that he only had one beer is because when the pain came back, I finally was like, okay, let's go to the hospital. But Brogan was passed out over the toilet throwing up like he was wasted, and he wasn't. And no, he did not have the flu. So I took that as a sign to not go to the hospital yet and just to wait it out. I stayed home the following 2 days because not only was this happening at night, now it was happening during the day, and it was absolutely miserable. The sucky part is my FMLA covers 2 days per week, and then I had enough sick leave to cover one more full day. So when Thursday came around, I had to go to work. So I did. And that was probably the worst time ever because I was working. I could not get comfortable. I could barely breathe. I was almost throwing up every hour because I was in so much pain. I do not cry, and it was putting me in literal tears. Lunchtime came around and it just was not getting better, and it was happening all morning. I think I had maybe 1 hour of not being in pain, and the rest of the time I was in excruciating pain. A lot of my female coworkers were telling me, oh, it's just her growing, you're fine, and all the guys were just mortified and terrified for my life. Rightfully so. And this whole time, when I would be up in the middle of the night, the only thing that would relieve the pain temporarily was taking a hot shower with the water on my back, and I would text my dad every single time. And there were a few times where he even said, it sounds like it's preeclampsia. Well, I was in denial, and not only was I in denial, but when I looked up preeclampsia, it was not checking out with the symptoms that I had. And since the doctor told me that my blood pressure was not super concerning, I did not think I had super high blood pressure. By the time of our last break, so around 1:00 p.m., I did message our supervisor and I said, I need to go to the doctor. I can't do this anymore. I need to go. My supervisor was not thrilled, but she also did not understand how much pain I was in. So I went to quick care, which honestly I should not have, and I should have just gone straight to the hospital, but I was hoping quick care would be able to just figure it out real quick and let me go home. Quick care literally just sent me straight to the hospital, so I went and they got me all set up in a room, had the baby monitor thingy on, they started taking some labs, and that's where it started to get crazy. At the time, I texted everyone. They all knew that I was at the hospital. Brogan was at work. He doesn't get off till 5. It was like 2 p.m. at this point. My mom gets off at 3:30. My dad was off, and so was my brother. So everyone was asking me if I needed anything. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna do it. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry. Oh. Anyways, they started to take my labs, and they were trying to find her heartbeat. They could find her heartbeat on and off, but they could not find it consistently. And when they took my labs, they found some very concerning stuff. For starters, my blood pressure was over 180 over 100 something. That is extremely high, if you did not know. It should not ever be that high, ever. It was so high that when they took my blood for the labs, my blood squirted out of my arm like I was in a freaking movie. I didn't even know that that happened in real life. I thought that only happened in movies. So that was pretty funny for me. Not the nurses. They were all terrified. Then they ended up taking my platelet levels twice because the doctor saw that they were so low, and they were so low that he walked in, he looked at it, and he goes, that can't be right. That's not right. Do it again. So then they had to draw my blood again, and it was a whole thing. But it was correct. So at this point, the doctor finally explains that I am in HELLP syndrome. And HELLP syndrome is what happens after preeclampsia. So the first doctor that I saw that Monday, missed my preeclampsia entirely, missed my HELLP syndrome symptoms, and I was currently in HELLP syndrome. What's absolutely insane about this, even more so than that fact alone, is that all the nurses and doctors were amazed that I was alive and that my daughter was alive. And not only at the fact that we were alive, but with how bad my labs were, I should have been having seizures, I should have been having strokes, and like I said, we both shouldn't have been alive. My mom was at the hospital at this point, so she's frantically trying to get a hold of Brogan, trying to get him to get his butt to the hospital, because I was having that baby within the hour. Things did not calm down after that. If you've had an emergency C-section that was like full-on life or death emergency, you know that it gets absolutely insane after they say you're having this baby today. So Brogan finally gets there. My mom is explaining to him what is going on, and they are trying to get me prepped for surgery. I was actually in such bad shape, and it was such a matter of life or death that, first off, the doctor did not even want to do the surgery there. He wanted to send me to Spokane, where there was a NICU and more high-risk pregnancy suitable staff, I guess you could say. I don't know. With everything that was going on with me, he did not want to do my surgery because he did not want us to die. Part of the reason was because my platelet levels were so low and they only had one thing of platelets in the whole surrounding area. You heard me correct. The whole surrounding area, one thing of platelets. Platelets are what help your blood clot. I thought I was gonna die. Because of all of this going on, they told me that I had to be put asleep for the surgery. They did not have time to give me a spinal and give me the whole, that whole thing. Which honestly, I was grateful for, even more so now, knowing what happened. I'm so grateful that they had to put me to sleep. So before they took me back, they had to put me on magnesium, and anyone who's been on magnesium knows you don't wish for your worst enemy to be on that stuff. That stuff's miserable. They told me that it was going to make me feel like I had the flu. It was going to make me throw up and stuff. Yeah, I didn't believe them, but I should have. That stuff was absolutely terrible. So they stabbed me with the steroid shot as I am leaning over the bed throwing up because of the magnesium, and they're also trying to stick my right arm, I'm right-handed, with another IV. That way I had 2 IVs. So finally they get me all set up and they ask the question that no one ever wants to be asked. They ask, if we have to choose between you and your baby, who do you want us to pick? That is the worst question on the planet. That is one of the worst questions on the planet. And you're never actually fully prepared to answer that until you are in that situation. And even then, there is no right way to answer that. My dad got lost in our tiny hospital. He didn't realize I was in labor and delivery. He thought I was in the ER. So he actually got there with my brother literally as they were wheeling me back to get surgery. We did not get to talk, but I did see them walking towards my mom and Brogan. And honestly, that's probably for the best because I would have been a complete emotional wreck if I had. So they get me back to the operating room, freezing cold, and they have to put the catheter in before I go to sleep. The room is absolute chaos, okay? Everyone is super frantic except for maybe one guy, and the doctors were trying to stay calm, but a lot of the nurses were in chaos mode. So they were trying to tie me down to the table while they're trying to put the catheter in before I fall asleep, and then the lady who's putting the mask on me to put me to sleep is not reassuring at all. I thought she was gonna kill me. The mask was on my face so hard that I genuinely thought she was gonna suffocate me and I was gonna die. I've had surgery before and I have never, ever had anyone put the mask on me that tight. I was scared. I mean, I was scared before that. I was like, okay. And then that happened and I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. So I go to sleep and then I wake up and I've obviously had the baby. I wake up before they put me on the helicopter to fly me over to Spokane. Brogan got to see our daughter before she flew off. They flew her before they flew me, obviously. And when he saw her, she was actually really good, all things considering. I mean, she was 10 weeks early. She was 2 pounds. But considering everything, she was doing pretty good. So I'm really glad he got to see her. There was no room on the helicopters to fly with either of us, so he ended up driving up that night. When I got to Spokane, the NICU doctor came down to see me, and he was talking to me about something, and I don't really remember what it was because I was on magnesium and, you know, I just went through a big surgery. So I don't really remember entirely what it was, but he thought that I knew that my daughter coded at birth. So he walks in and he's telling me about something, and he goes, but that's pretty normal considering she coded at birth and needed CPR. Like, I'm sorry, what? What did you just say? What? My mom wasn't even going to tell me. I brought it up to her later. She wasn't even going to tell me. So I don't know who was supposed to tell me. Brogan says he tried to tell me when I woke up from surgery, but I do not remember that. So yeah, that's cool. Recovery-wise, I recovered pretty dang quickly considering everything. Normally, when you are as bad as I was, you are either in a freaking coma for a bit or you are in the hospital for at least a week. I could have gotten out the Sunday after I had her. I had her on a Thursday. They kept me because we lived 2 hours away from the NICU and we really wanted to get into the Ronald McDonald house before leaving because it's closer and I did not want to leave my daughter. Who does? In the long run, my incision site actually took 6 months to fully heal. I had a few stitches get stuck and a few openings happen, but nothing major. Our daughter, on the other hand, she started out great in the NICU. She really did. She was super strong, super spunky. She was doing great. We thought she was going to go home before her due date. Then one day at like 4 in the morning, I get a call from the doctor and they say, I'm so sorry, your daughter has neck. I still can't say the full name perfectly. It's like necrotizing encephalitis or something like that. Essentially, it's a really bad bowel infection that kills a lot of babies, especially in the NICU. Yeah. So I'm sure you can imagine how reassuring that was. That was after about a month of being there, and it took a few weeks for her to recover from that. Thank goodness she did, and thank goodness she did it without needing any surgery. I will forever be grateful for that. But she recovered a week or two before her due date, and then they got ready to send us home. And we ended up going home on her due date. But we got sent back 2 days later. Over the couple of days being home, obviously it was great. Obviously it was terrifying, but her stomach started to enlarge again. And if you know, that's like a massive sign for neck. And so I brought her to the doctor a couple days later. They were worried that she had like a blockage in her bowel from the neck. So they life-flighted her a second time. Overall, she spent about 3 months in the NICU, 1 month past her due date, and that sucked. And I would not wish that on anyone. Luckily, we both have very supportive families, so they helped a lot. Also, going back to her coding at birth, we live in a small town, and so when they wheeled me back, they told Brogan, my mom, and I that I was the focus of the hospital. Everyone's here for me. When they heard code blue, they knew it was one of us. They just didn't know which one. So I can't even imagine how my family and Brogan felt. One thing that baffles me and will probably shock me until the day I die is that the doctors didn't listen to me multiple times. I went to them saying that I had concerns and that I was in pain, and they blew it off. And they blew it off like it was nothing, when in reality I was dying. And that doctor had to assist in my emergency C-section a couple days later. He still feels bad. And I know he still feels bad. And then when she got life-flighted the second time, I told them it was because of the formula. It was not a full-on dairy allergy. It was the formula that they had her on. They didn't listen. They wanted to do surgery. They wanted to run tests. They wanted to do all this stuff. And when we left, she was diagnosed with a freaking dairy allergy. And that's why we got life-flighted the second time. If they would have listened, we could have gone home sooner. Eventually, we got home, and it was great. We had her baby shower when she was 6 months old. Now she's turning 2. And it's crazy to think about everything that we've gone through. And as much as I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, I would do it over again in a heartbeat. I would do it the exact same way because it gave me the best gift anyone could ever give. And she is one of the most smartest kids that I have ever met. I've worked in childcare for years. I worked in a preschool. I've worked in daycares. She's so smart. She hits all of her milestones. Yeah, she's a little short, but she comes by that honestly. If you know Brogan and I'm pretty short. Brogan's pretty average height, but I'm pretty short. So I expected nothing less. But she is sassy. She is fantastic. She's absolutely the best thing to ever happen to us. She's so great. And I know what you might be thinking. Brittany, are you going to have more? Yes. Yes, I am. Brogan and I do want more kids. We are not in a rush. We still have a lot of emotional healing to do from all of that. Even though it's been 2 years, I am still in therapy and I am still working through it. Working through something like this is so hard because everyone moves past it, but sometimes it feels like you're stuck in it. If you know someone who had a super traumatic birth or something like that, be sure to check in on them because it definitely takes a lot of time to get past, if you ever even get past it fully. Sometimes I don't even want to get past it because it was such a crazy part of our story. So if you went through something similar or you feel similar, just know you are not alone at all. There's so many moms who feel the same. I know that this video was a little heavier on the topic, but hopefully it can help someone out there. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this birth story and this makeup look. And thank you guys for getting ready with me. I will see you guys next week.